Gosh, it sounds. Oh, we're live.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing it yet, but give me a second. Hopefully it'll come through.
Cool.
Just whirly-gigging here, so that's more than I did the last day.
I can't see if there's anyone here. It just says live.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds here. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to come up on the...
Come on. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, Julie, I think we're good.
We're good to go. Fantastic.
Oh, great. So I can't see the screen, but you can, so that's okay.
Okay. Are you seeing black?
I'm not seeing black, but I'm not seeing what I thought I would see. Now, I'm just going to take a second and open this up on my phone so that at least I can see comments coming in if there are any.
Cool.
Turn the volume off so it doesn't interrupt us. And okay, here we go. So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to day 5 of Freedom from Anxiety in Uncertain Times. And I'm here today with the lovely Julie Cluley from Scotland. And Julie is also... Hi, Julie.
Hi.
And Julie's also an innate health practitioner, and she's full of fun. So we'll be less serious today, won't we, Julie?
Might be.
There we go. So before I'm going to hand you over to Julie, I have had some messages coming in over the last day or two, and I just wanted to speak to some of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before going too much further here. Okay, so I was talking to a couple of people yesterday, or I had a couple of messages rather, I wasn't talking to them, from people that were commenting on the metaphors. And a couple of people said that they really enjoyed the clouds and the rainbow, but they didn't quite get yesterday's metaphor. And I just wanted to say that that's fine. You know, I'm going to be talking about what I'm pointing to in lots of different ways, and some will resonate with you and others won't. And I'm doing that in the hope that if I talk about this in enough different ways, that there'll be something for everybody and that something will resonate with people. So don't worry about the metaphors. If you get them, you get them. If you don't, you don't. There'll always be new ones because I do love metaphors. So that's that. I also had a message from somebody that that was saying they were tuning in and they were enjoying the sessions, but they weren't suffering from stress every day anymore. And hi, Liz. Happy to have you here. So I think that's wonderful if you're not suffering from stress all the time and it's only sometimes. And it's a really good point because none of us suffer from stress all of the time. We think we do, but when we get curious about what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and we look at it more deeply and examine it, then what we see is that we feel all sorts of different feelings all day long. We go up and down, and I will be talking about that another day in terms of our states of mind and our levels of consciousness. But for today, I think it's just enough to know that, you know, we do change, you know, and we can feel 25 different ways in any given day, and that's okay. That's how we're designed. And finally, then, I did have an email in from somebody who is having a work problem. I'm not going to name anybody, obviously, and has been invited into a meeting next week with a manager and a HR person and is concerned about what's going to happen in the meeting and is worried about the outcome of the meeting. And when I read the email, what I see is that there is somebody that has to go to a meeting and there are some facts in the email, but there's also a whole lot of layered thinking, you know, and that's where we get ourselves stressed and we wind ourselves up and we whip up a thought storm. And as we do, it whips up our feelings as well, and they become more intense. So a couple of things I would say is, you know, just get curious about, you know, the thoughts that are on your ticker tape and that are going through your mind. And, you know, see them as thoughts rather than actual truth. I don't know what will happen in the meeting next week, and neither do you really. And you have expectations and you have thoughts about what you think will happen. And I suppose what I would say to you is, hi, Catherine. If you think of it this way, If I was to ask everybody that's on the call today to look around wherever you are, whether it's outdoors or inside, and identify everything that you can see around you that's red. And you look around the room and you see all the things that are red, and then you come back to the call and I ask you, can you tell me what you saw in your environment that was blue, please? And you won't be able to tell me because you weren't paying attention to what was blue. You were paying attention to what was red. And you know, if we go into any meeting, and this isn't just the girl that emailed, it's anyone, any of us go into a meeting, and I used to do this all the time. I recognize this one. If we go in expecting something to happen and looking and going into the meeting, looking through that filter, then chances are that's what we're going to see and hear and experience. So I suppose I'm encouraging you to try to be present when you go into the meeting and to be open and to listen and to look and just see and hear what's actually happening and try to understand what's going on. And then respond in that moment. Because if you're present in that moment, the email mentioned that you couldn't find your nose, but that's how to find it, is to be in the now when you're in the meeting and not, you know, try and come out of your head a little bit and listen to what's actually happening in the meeting. Now, on a practical level, this person was concerned that some of their terms and conditions might be changed in that meeting. And, you know, with my HR hat on, I suppose what I'd say to anybody is your terms and conditions can't be changed unilaterally. You have to agree to any change like that in writing. So hopefully that'll help you. Right, so that's enough of me. I'm going to introduce the lovely Julie Cluley now. And Julie, as I said, lives in Scotland, and Julie helps people with their dog behavior. So she trades as Julie Cluley helps you help your dog. If I got that right,
That's
Julie.
it. Well done. Well done. Thank you.
I'm very proud I got it right. So yeah, so Julie, these are short kind of lunchtime bites, and we're trying to keep them to 15 or 20 minutes. So I suppose Catherine was here the other day, and I asked her if maybe she could share what was different for her from before she came across this understanding and the after, I suppose. And maybe one thing that she saw when hanging around this conversation that made the difference for her. So if you were happy to maybe go along those lines, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, of course. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly, yeah.
Great. Hi, everybody. Yes, my name's Julie, and I guess that's what I trade under. But the reason I guess I'm here today is because I met Jan, and I met Jan on a course that we did together over 6 months, I think it was. And that was literally life-changing for me in both my personal life and my business life. And I went, I suppose, pre-bumping into this conversation, I guess I just found life busy. For me, it was very busy. It was very overwhelming. It was very, I just lived life 100 miles an hour until my body physically and my brain mentally, I guess, just stopped. And I had to, it was just enough, just stop. And so that was not a great place to be. I had to take some time off work, and it was very miserable a lot of the time. I felt that I didn't feel, funnily enough, I didn't feel depression, how people describe depression to me. That doesn't resonate with me, but I felt anxious a lot of the time. I felt like this a lot of the time. And I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop mentally, and I couldn't stop physically. So that wasn't the best place to be. When I bumped into this conversation, the first thing that helped me was to see that everything was transient. All my thoughts were transient. For me, that was just like a real, when I heard it, it made me cry, because I just felt like, like that's the way it's supposed to be. There's not something wrong with me. I felt like there was something wrong with me. There had been something wrong with me for a long time. And my thoughts just whizzed and whizzed and whizzed. And when someone said to me, well, yeah, that's what they do. Thoughts come in and then they move on. I was like, oh, well, that I mean, the relief, it's given me goosebumps now. The relief was just incredible, like beyond
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, I think I felt like I was broken before I found this and before I came across
Yeah.
this.
Oh, most definitely. I thought I was, well, me and maybe a few other people felt this way, because I did have other people that I knew felt that way, but I thought the majority of people didn't experience the world the way I experienced the world. And I guess, I suppose everybody does experience the world differently, but the way it works, i.e., the thoughts coming in and the thoughts moving on, is the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And okay, it's different thoughts that come in, but actually, the content of the thoughts is irrelevant, which was a real eye opener. I was like, what do you mean they're irrelevant? Well, that's everything to me. So yeah, so
That was a big one.
yeah. So I guess in more practical terms, when it comes to my business, I was helping people with their dogs, and I would be giving them information that I knew would work, and they would not do it for whatever reason. And I used to get really annoyed and upset and angry, and I'd be like, why are people not just this is obvious to me. Why are they not doing that?
Yeah.
Until it was shown to me that, or I saw, I guess, that, well, it might be obvious to you, but it's not obvious to them. And everybody is doing the best they can with the information they've been given. And I had seen a long time ago, I've been working with dogs for 14 years, and I had seen a long time ago that there isn't really any behavior problems with your dog. It's just a misunderstanding. It's just a miscommunication. There's not actually any problem with any dogs. And one day I suddenly saw there's actually no problem with any of my clients either. And I was like, whoa, that was like a real, rug pulled from underneath me. And I kind of thought, well, there's not much point in my job then, is there? There's nothing wrong with anybody. It's fine. Everybody's great. Yeah. Clearly, people are experiencing things differently. Dogs are experiencing things differently. So,
and Julie, on that note, before you go any further, I meant to mention at the beginning, if anybody has any questions about their dogs or their dog's behavior, I think Julie would be happy to answer any of those while she's here. So pop them in the comment section. Yeah.
Sorry, and before we finish, remind me to do my let people know about separation anxiety, because separation anxiety seems to be, in my world at the moment, massive for a lot of people, because we can't go out and we can't practice. We can't, our dogs are just with us all the time. And then when we leave to go to the loo, they are just beside themselves. So, remind me, it'll only take a few minutes to talk about that, which might be helpful.
Let us know in the comments, guys, if you want to hear about that.
Separation anxiety in dogs just seems to be a big thing at the moment, and barking is another one. But I think that when it comes to just behaviors in general for people, or experiences for people, it's just really helpful to know that they change. It's not, when you're in that horrible thought storm, which, by the way, I still get regularly, maybe not every day, but most weeks, I find myself thinking, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I need to do this, I need to do that. And then I remember that right there is a rumble strip, what they call a rumble strip. It's like a sign. It's a sign from wherever to say, Julie, if you're feeling that way, that's probably not the way you want to go. Just whatever you're doing, don't do that. Just don't do that. Whatever it is, don't do it. Step back and have a look around and see, like what you said about the red and the green in the room. Stop looking for the red. Look for the other. There is always alternatives. There is always something there. And that's
we've been talking about that, and it's that's really important.
Yeah, that there's, like, well, with dogs is a great analogy. People will say, well, you asked me to do this with my dog, but it's not working. And I'm like, well, that's fine. There's like a million other ways that we can do it. But we need to find something that's going to work for you, the owner,
Yeah.
and for your dog, because, every human's different and so is every dog. And getting to know your own dog's triggers, I guess, your own dog's signs that they are I don't know if they're in a thought storm, obviously, but it looks like a thought storm. They're all over the place. They're like, I don't know what to do with myself. They're barking.
Yeah.
They're crazy. They're upset. It
Okay.
sounds a bit human, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to glide over either, what you're saying about, the rumble strip, and you feel like you're supposed to be going in one direction. And it feels counterintuitive to go the opposite direction sometimes.
Yeah.
And that was a learning for me. It was like, but if I feel rushed, surely that means that I have to hurry up and go faster and get everything done that I need to be doing. And it's actually telling you to slow down. It's just, the wisdom, your own wisdom, showing you that you're in a rushed state and you'd be better off to slow down. But it doesn't feel that way until you understand how it works.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that is still to this day the hardest thing. I find that difficult. I know it, I see it, but in the moment, it's like, oh, I see, I need to slow down. But now, every time it happens and it comes, every time I see it, there's a nice feeling. There is a sense of relief. There's like, oh yeah, I don't have to live life like that.
Yeah.
What a relief! Like, what a relief that I can do, whatever I want to do in that moment, whatever is obvious to do. Like the lady that's talking about the meeting, if she was able to just, do other things, try and, just kind of let that go until the moment she's in the meeting, and it will be blindingly obvious to her what to do.
And that's counterintuitive as well until we understand how it works, because we all think that we have to prepare for every meeting. I mean, I know I used to. What would I say? What would everybody else say? How was I going to react to what they said? How might they react to that? And on it went. And it never plays out that way. So what you're saying is a much easier, more graceful way to navigate your way through that kind of a meeting.
Yeah, the like difficult situations like that are going to be difficult, a difficult conversation or whatever. Like coming onto this call today, it's like, well, what am I going to talk about? Well, I don't know. I don't know that until I'm here. And then it becomes obvious to what might be helpful in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that brings me back to if anybody wants to hear anything about dogs.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so there's just it's a very simple thing that might be helpful if you know anybody, or you have a dog of your own that is struggling with a bit of separation anxiety. There's one thing to stop doing, and there's 3 things to start doing.
Right.
So the thing to stop doing is when you come home, don't act like you've really missed your dog, even if you have really missed your dog. So when you greet your dog, don't greet them in a human way. So, when you come in and you're like, hi, I totally missed you. Where have you been? Or the other way, which is, oh, get down. You're jumping all over me. I've got a white skirt on and you've got, muddy paws, or you're hairy or whatever. Either of those options, stop doing. Okay, so that's number 1. And then 3 things to start doing is, the first one is to create some micro absences. So I realize that it's difficult for people just now, we're not really going anywhere or doing anything, but we can create micro absences within the house even, or even just to go out for a walk or go for the bin, and depending on your dog, how long you want to make that, there's no rule, but start off small, like for a short length of time. So create the micro absence, and then when you leave your dog, so this is number 2, when you leave, just leave them. Don't say bye. Don't tell them you're off to Tesco or whatever, you know, just leave. Even if in your head you're like, oh God, are they going to be okay? They're going to cry when I leave and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just, you know, that they are in a safe place, that they are fine, and you won't be going long, and it's fine. So just leave. And then when you return without putting any pressure on them. So just come in like you've been to a very, you know, that you're calm and you're not, wherever you've been to hasn't stressed you out, even if it has. Sometimes it might have, shopping, whatever. Come in and let them see you. So don't make eye contact, don't talk to them, but let them feel your energy. Let them get used to being in your space again. Get just to see that you're there without engaging with them for that moment.
Okay.
And then what happens is if you give them a little bit of time, they'll just settle down of their own accord.
Wow.
And then you can engage with them and play with them to your heart's content.
Okay.
So that is just a little short snippet of what will help with, if you know a dog, you know of a dog, or your own dog is suffering when you leave. That might help out.
And to Julie, if anybody wanted to find you or follow up with you about their own dogs, where can they find you?
Good question. So I have a website. It's just Julie helps you help your dog.co.uk. I have a Facebook community that I spend a lot of time in. So if you want to ask me any questions or anything, then feel free to go on to Facebook and go on there. And that's, again, Julie helps you help your dog.
Okay.
And that's
comments when we're done here.
That would be amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to see anybody. As I say, I hang out in my Facebook group quite a lot, just answering questions and doing little lives and doing videos and stuff with things that I think might be helpful. So okay. Yeah,
fabulous. That's great. Right. Yeah, great stuff. Julie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up on 1:25, so I probably better wrap this up for people. It is a lunchtime bite, so.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and always a pleasure speaking to you. Maybe you'll come back in a couple of weeks before we get to the end of November. And,
fantastic. Yeah, if anybody's got anything specifically doggy, then obviously just give me a shout.
Fantastic.
And I can point them in the right direction.
Brilliant. And can people also find you for the Freedom from Anxiety on the same website?
Yes. There is, there's some information on there as well if they're interested in looking at this conversation and helping themselves with anxiety. You don't have to have a dog to work with me, but you know, I've just got a slight tendency towards dogs.
Good to know. Good to know.
Brilliant. Okay, Julie, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was an
cheers. Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Stay safe and be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.